Part 2 of Department of Children and Family Services, Newport, Vermont. What they did as a result of me making a report, they violated my daughter, my grandson, and myself many times over. They took my grandson into custody through the state of Vermont Department of Children and Family Services. They charged my daughter frivolously with felon charges. They put my daughter in Rutland Regional Medical Center and shot her up with a drug called ketamine for about 60 days. My daughter was so distraught and looked so horribly ill when she came out of that hospital. She tells me she remembers some of her Jell-O tasting like nail polish remover or nail polish. And so I'm asking anybody that's experienced that in Rutland Regional Medical Center, if somebody, any of your loved ones, friends, or anybody has made that statement to you, take it and go with it, because something is happening, and it's at the hands of the Attorney General, T.J. Donovan, in the state of Vermont, continuously trying to over-medicate, and it's called medical kidnapping. And what that is an involuntary stay in a psych ward where they shoot you up with what they want. And the medication called ketamine is to change and alter their mind and make you forget. And what it does in women is just that. It's a way to try to not only gag them by silencing them, okay, but it's also considered manslaughter because they know that this drug will kill you. Just like when they put you on Cipro, it's called CIPRO, which is an antibiotic. That's known to kill people as well. You need to look that up. It causes suicidal effects. So knowing that the hospital, say the hospital North Country, puts you on Cipro, or Island Pond Medical Center in Island Pond, Vermont, Dr. Primo, I've told him many times, my daughter doesn't have Crohn's disease. She has something different, okay? She has Lyme disease if they would just properly diagnose her, but they don't want to do the test because they know that I've been squawking about it and I've been hollering about it for all these fucking years. Since she was, 13 years old? So I've even put it out there on his reviews at Island Pond Medical Center. That's all overseen by the state of Vermont, which is overseen by Attorney General T.J. Donovan and Department of Health and Human Services coordinator, supervisor, administrator, which is Sean Donahue, okay? And he's the one that knocked on my door without a doubt, driving a red 2-door sports car back in 2006 when I lived in Lyndonville, Vermont, okay? And he had stories that he tried to conspire and take my children because they were obviously being watched. And at the time, it was complaints by Jim Audette because I wouldn't date him. He was a drunk. He still is. He's part of the mafia. He's part of the family, and all tied in with the Donahues, Donovans, the O'Connors, the Hares, all of them, okay? They all know each other because they're all into politics, Vince and Aluzzi, all of them. So they're all a conflict of interest, including any state paid attorney, which is a public pretender in my eyes, but they call public defenders, okay? Which would, again, be Laura Wilson, who is violating code of ethics. She should have already had my grandson in my daughter's arms before he was even taken. This shit should have been ceased when I made that report. Kevin should have been investigated. He should have been removed from that home. Michael Hatton was the landlord, and I've got him on audio record, his wife anyway. And he had surveillance of everything that was happening. He told me he had surveillance. He told me April 1st, which we're going to get up to that, about the fact that I needed to take my daughter and grandson, and why he kept on telling me between 1 and 2 in the morning and get out of there. Why? Was there some kind of plan or something? But he kept on telling me that people were after me. So again, Michael Hatton, I'm asking you publicly, tell my daughter, tell myself, tell us who was after us. Who did you see on surveillance shooting my car? Who did you see cutting my brakes? Who did you see doing all the shit that you said you have it on surveillance, but you wouldn't give me that information until what? Until the police that were involved in it requested it? You knew that wasn't happening. So Michael Hatton, I believe, with all reason to believe and none to doubt, when you hear all my evidence and watch my videos, you're going to find out that they're all conspired together. And if that guy that claims to be such a great investigator that was turned down to be an investigator for the state, okay, if you're so good at your job, contact me, okay? Put the singing down because it's not all that great. Your songs are good, but the rest of it is ruined by listening to it. Okay, so with that being said, if you're such a great investigator, I I don't know what to tell you. I mean, I don't see any progress that you've made, other than you're on TV a lot, on your own little show there on YouTube. But, sir, Joshua Gray, I invite you to join me if you've got any kind of credentials that you can put into helping save. Okay, so anyways, part 2 of Department of Children and Family Services, and I also share this with Jonathan Howe, who is in the Bronx of New York City, who is a blood lineage relative running for 22, and he is libertarian as well. Does not agree with any of what Department of Children and Family Services says or does. So with that being said, I invite him as well. Jonathan Howe, I'm the granddaughter of the founder of Yarmouth Port, Cape Cod, Massachusetts, and I invite you to assist me as I have credentials as well. I have honesty and integrity, and I have all thought about running for the state rep 22 in my area, state of Maine. Seems how previously my location of residency was stolen by the state of Vermont, trying to make me a non-resident, which I was a natural born resident, and hindering my capability to run campaign. And they gave it to who? Jansen Wilhoit, who what? Was convicted of what? Embezzlement in Kentucky? On how many victims? Under this fraudulent fucking insurance company that he had? Never paid back. Look up Jansen Wilhoit. He also has children that were taken from people out of Northeast Kingdom, Vermont, and placed with him after he claimed rape in prison and got pardoned. And now he's over here as a public defender in the state of Vermont, in Chittenden County, I believe. Okay. But he was state representative. That's who they ousted me to put him in. And now he's a public defender. How does all this shit happen? With all the criminal activity that he and TJ Donovan and Peter Shulman, don't forget about him. The scandal, the JPEG scandal and the B-52. And also look up TJ Donovan about how he punched a kid in mouth before he became the state's attorney and the attorney general. So he's an abuser himself. You see all these people that he's medically kidnapping and having them put in under involuntary holds for the court system, the psych wards, like they did my daughter, and she was so ill. That's what he tried to do, wasn't it, TJ Donovan? Didn't you try to kill my daughter? Isn't that what you tried to do? You tortured my daughter so bad that she doesn't dare to do anything but run back to her abusers, because that's what happens. You see, everybody needs to know about Border Patrol. Border Patrol, say Jeffrey Hare, he was in charge of Border Patrol, right, in Island Pond, Vermont. He abused my daughter. It's in the paperwork of the DCF, which is overrun by Sean Donahue. So they're all, and let's think about Bernie Sanders. He's in the news from years ago when he put into an essay that what women get when they get abused, they deserve. Also, Northeast Kingdom, it's mentioned, you can look it up in Google, about the fact that they really do hate women, and women are paid less attention to than Vermont. Their needs are not met. Guys, I mean, not Vermont guys. Okay, you're also going to find that Northeast Kingdom, Island Pond, Vermont, is also the most evil area in Northeast Kingdom, Vermont. Okay, you're also going to note that there's been a lot of crazy shit happening in Island Pond, Vermont. Look it up. You're also going to note that there was a book out there on Amazon that says What Happened in Vermont, Island Pond, Vermont. Okay, and there's a picture of a blonde girl on there. Think about that. Okay, and that was written by an old FBI agent, CIA. Okay, so then there's a book on Amazon that's written by a lady that's a true story about all of what? The medical kidnapping that she went through in the psych wards in Vermont under what? The direction of the state and government officials. Those are violations of your federal rights, folks. They tried me as well. So I'm going to finish this story as part 2 with Department of Children and Family Services. Part 2, how they have done me and my family.
Sure. Okay. What is the name of your grandchild that you're calling about today? Jacoby Jane. She can to help herself and this son, and the father continuously badges and threatens her. I've heard it myself.
The judge heard it.
Okay. And your daughter's contact number? I don't know what she's using. I don't have a contact number. I contact her on Facebook. And for the simple fact, I don't need her number because she lives right across the hall from me. Okay, what is her address? Her address is 109 Railroad Street, number 8. And again, this variance not be held against my daughter because I will file U.S. 242, 1983 in federal court. What town are we talking about now? We're talking about Island Pond, Vermont. What area of Vermont? What's the rest of the address name? Island Pond, Vermont.
Fuck part did she hear the first time? I don't get it.
And you calling with concerns for Kevin? What is Kevin's last name? Bigfoot. Not for him. I'm calling about him.
Get it straight. Words fucked up make a big difference.
Kevin Bigfoot's the problem. He claims residency downstairs, but he does not live downstairs, and I can attest to that.
So can the judge.
And I have witnesses that will also affirm to that. The landlord might tell you different because he's collecting rent from general assistance
Michael Hatton.
and applying it to the rent, but he doesn't live he does not live with his parents, but he does live in this building.
Squatting
Okay, so I apologize.
and couch surfing.
Downstairs or upstairs? I apologize. My daughter and I live third floor. I live in number 7. My daughter and my grandson live in number 8. Kevin claims residency downstairs with his parents or with his brother, depends on the day and night. And
Who he's getting along with.
his time upstairs in my daughter's apartment, manipulating her. He's already had her sent away under false pretenses, and like this morning he was yelling outside on a video camera surveillance, stating that call the cops, she's got a gun. I haven't had a gun again since I was 18 years old, and I'm not a felon. It's against my religion.
Found it to have happened by the Essex County Court.
Because he's been emotionally disturbed, from what I can tell, for the past several days since I confronted him and my daughter about him yelling at my grandson.
Mind you, he's on schizophrenic and paranoia pills.
I told him that I would call the state.
My daughter wasn't on medications. She didn't need medications. She's a mother.
Then he's putting I want to make sure that it's noted that my daughter has not been present during the times that this happened. She has been out taking care of what she needs to, whether it's a doctor's appointment or grocery shopping or something at the time that this is taking place. And me living across the hall, I find it being a grandmother to this little boy, even if it wasn't my child, that they be protected and the mother be protected as well. Because I know in the state of Vermont, the statistics for protecting women is lower than any rate in the United States, especially in Northeast Kingdom. And where they've unjustifiably taken my children before, and I prove that, I don't want to be seeing this happen to my daughter. I will take it to federal court for her. Okay. I want somebody to look into Kevin Bickerford. I want somebody to look into his actions towards my grandchild and my daughter. And I do not want him abusing in any form, shape.
Now, mind you, that was in February 2021. And then in June, they took my grandson into custody after they had charged Brianna again. It was actually in May when they took my grandson away from my daughter. Memorial weekend. Okay? My daughter still, as of February 2022, has not seen her son because TJ Donovan had her shot up with a drug in an involuntary hold that nearly killed her. Then she went missing. Isn't that right, Gordon Obert of Anson, Maine? He put her on a bus in Waterville, Maine, supposedly. He said that he waited right there and that she jumped out of the truck when she seen the bus. But Brianna reports that he doesn't know where they went. She was sitting outside on the little porch bench by some Chinese guy smoking a cigarette when the bus rolled up. So there he is lying again, okay? And so now, knowing that Brianna's a vulnerable adult, Laura Wilson, who is her public pretender, continuously violates Brianna because, again, her son should not be out of her care. Brianna had reported the abuse many times over, and she wrote a report to and through the domestic violence agency in Vermont called Umbrella. So where are the papers that in the reports that she made? And why did the police not take the statements? Why do I have on audio record from my apartment on my side of the wall calls made and continuously denied charges against Kevin? Yet Kevin Bickford is the one that was calling in false reports. It's already been founded by Essex County Court, the judge, back in April when he granted me a 1-year restraining order. So that is the end of the call to DCF, but that's not all, because we're going to share more, but that's part 2.